time to talk through the biggest stories making the news today.
Well, in just a moment, we'll be joined by Matthew Wright and Julia Hartley Brewer. But before that, as the panic buying of petrol spiralled out of control this weekend, we can talk to paramedic Jennifer Ward, who says that people wouldn't let her go to the front of the queue, even though she was driving an ambulance. Jennifer, good morning. It's really lovely to speak to you this morning, and I'm sorry you had that experience over the weekend. Just talk us through what it was like for you and your team then.
So I think on Friday it was the first day of the panic buying of fuel, and to us it was just our normal Friday shift, and then all of a sudden it got to the point where we needed diesel for our truck and we couldn't get any as quickly as we normally would. So I think it was just an added anxiety to our day.
Well, you can be sent anywhere up to sort of 40 miles away, so fuel is essential. Was anyone willing to let you into the queue?
So where we originally went for diesel the first time, it was actually empty, and then we went for a further 3, which were either really, really badly queuing or there was absolutely no diesel there at all. And finally, we got to the last one where they allowed us to use the lorry pumps instead, as they were the only ones that had diesel left.
My goodness me. And so obviously, having had an experience like that, you posted about it on social media and it gathered a lot of attention, didn't it?
It did, very quickly as well. We didn't expect this to happen at all. You know, we got a few shares from my ambulance friends who also work in the service. And then the next thing I knew, we woke up to overnight about 9,000 shares, I think it was, and then it kept going up.
I always thought that the services would have, you've had your own pumps. I didn't think that you would have to, get in line like everybody else. And it has been a crazy weekend. What do you say to those people who are panic buying and gumming up the roads?
Actually, this is a really common question I've had. Don't ambulance stations have their own pumps? And a few do, but these are very, very few and far in between. So a lot of ambulances, police cars, fire stations all actually do have to fill up at petrol stations. Wow. We've seen this panic buying before. We saw it during COVID the first time round, and we saw what happened, and actually we didn't need to do it. And now we can look back and reflect on that and go from there.
Thank you very much indeed
for talking to you
today, Jennifer, and thanks for the job that you're doing. Got Matthew and Julia Hartley Brewer here. Welcome to both of you. And looking at those pictures over the weekend, Matthew, with people with cans.
That was the one the one that got me was it was a guy with about 15 green cans out, and you just thought...
It just seems so unbelievably selfish.
I've had people in my timeline on Twitter saying, well, you've got to look out for yourself, otherwise they say there's no fuel shortage now, but there could be a fuel shortage at the end of the week caused by panic buying, and what then if you haven't got any fuel? It's there's all kinds of blame games going on, but if you look at Operation Yellowhammer, which was the civil service preparation for a sort of no-deal Brexit, there's a whole list of things that could happen, and nearly all of them are playing out at the moment. So the question I've got is, if it was foreseen that there could be these problems, and there was a shortage of hauliers before COVID, a huge shortage of hauliers then, how come we're still in a situation where we're talking about bringing in the army? We've had 2 years to prepare for these kind of eventualities, and it strikes me that there's been no preparation at all. It's a shambles.
No, I mean,
absolute shambles.
I think that's what some people were saying. It's too little, too late. I mean, they've suspended competition laws to allow fuel companies to coordinate deliveries, and also considering bringing the army in here, Julia.
I mean, these are extraordinary headlines, aren't they? I think we shouldn't be so hard on individual motorists, though. I filled up on Friday. I was down to a quarter of a tank. Last time round this happened, I said, I'm not panic buying, it's ridiculous, I'll wait and I'll wait. As it was, we got down to no petrol or diesel at all, and I had to queue for an hour to get it when I really needed it. A lot of the people you're looking at, they're filling up jerry cans. But what if they need to use their car or their van for their job? Millions and millions of people rely on being able to go around in their vehicle to get to work, to do their actual work, get the kids to school miles from their home. I think we should stop sort of castigating individuals who individually are acting very rationally by saying, but if everyone else is going to panic buy, then I need to make sure I've got enough supplies to get me through the next couple of weeks. So I don't think we should blame individual motorists. I think we should, though. I think we should blame, genuinely, I think the government is to blame on this. An abject failure to prepare. We knew about, as Matthew said, the shortage of drivers a long time ago, ageing workforce. We knew that a small aspect of this is Brexit, but there is definitely an aspect of that. Much more about long-term problems in the industry and people not wanting to do the job for low pay, but also people leaving the country because of the lockdown rules. But this was all entirely predictable. Not allowing people to train and to pass their HGV licences and not thinking that 6 months on or 18 months on there might be a problem there, frankly, is a failure of management. This is really basic stuff. I would say this is government 101, and the government has failed on this.
But also, I mean, you say don't castigate those who go out and fill up 15 cans. When you hear that story about not being able to get fuel for an ambulance, I mean, there comes a point where you've got to say, right, OK, I understand you want to fill your car up, but there actually was only, and we were told quite clearly, that there was a local issue in some parts of the country. It wasn't a countrywide fuel
trust
shortage.
Issue then, though, isn't it? There is a sense at the moment that whatever the government says, you don't need to worry about this. Deep down, I'm thinking, if the government says you don't need to worry about this, I should probably start worrying about it. It's got to the point...
But you can't help thinking that those people who had 15 cans at the backs of their cars were also the same people that had a house full of toilet paper.
Yeah. I don't doubt that for 1 minute. What a nation we are, eh? Hoarders of bog roll and fuel. The idea that someone feels, and I understand where Julia's coming sort of philosophically, but as a nation, it was very obvious that we're running out of fuel. And the idea that I've got half a tank and my projected needs in a week and a half going to work or going to school are somehow more important than an ambulance driver just blows my mind. But that's where we're at.
There's just one piece of light. It's difficult to find anything that's fun this week.
I know where we're going.
Because it's talk about the most perfect name for a BBC reporter covering the story. And here you go. Here he is, Phil McCann.
I mean, it's the dream, isn't it?
Well done, Phil.
It's an absolute gift.
Yeah, there he is.
Just genius.
You need something to laugh at, don't you?